Welcome to the December Library Show. We're happy to have you join us today. I'm Katie, your local library director. You know, if you've been to any of our children's programs or our story times lately, you've seen a new face. We have a new children's librarian, and her name is Bethany Boutin, and she's here today to talk to me. Bethany, welcome to the Library Show, your very first library show, right?
Thanks, Katie.
One of many, I'm sure. Well, you know, one of the very first questions I always love to ask new librarians, whether it's in an interview or when they start working at the library, is what made you decide to become a librarian?
Well, I've always liked visiting public libraries. I grew up going to them all the time with my family since I was little. I've always loved reading, been an avid reader. Books have been some of my best friends, but I actually always planned on being a teacher for most of my life. It wasn't until late in college that I realized I like working with small groups and one-on-one, and I wanted to use a lot of creativity on my job, so I got a checkout desk clerk job at a library and realized it was the perfect job for me.
That's wonderful. And you've been here for about 3 months now at Shelby Township Library, but can you talk a little bit about how you got here and what your educational and your work backgrounds are?
Sure. Yeah, I double majored in English and French at Oakland University because I love reading and writing and languages. And then I pursued my master's in library and information science from Wayne State. I interned in youth services at the Troy Public Library for a year while I was in school. And then I was a librarian at the Sterling Heights Library, which was special for me because it's my hometown library. But I really wanted to be full-time in youth services, so now here I am at Shelby.
So many of our viewers might not know this, but youth librarianship is a specific branch of librarianship that requires specific training and education. What made you decide to become a youth librarian in particular?
Well, I love working with children. Their exuberance and joy is really contagious, and it fuels my passion for the job. It gets me excited about everything. The kids say some of the most amusing things, and some things that are really simply deep and profound. And it's wonderful to be part of their lives at a young age, getting them interested in libraries, teaching them about early literacy, getting them into reading. It's fun to order youth materials for the library. I like to read children's books and young adult books the most, so that's fun, and I get to use my creativity in planning programs and crafts for them and their families.
Does any of that stick out as like a favorite thing of yours about your job?
Definitely doing story times is my favorite part. It's the time that I get to interact most with the kids, and the great thing is we have something for everyone at every age at the library. So I have the baby bears story time for the tiniest little kids to just introduce them to reading and rhyme and movement. And then I do a toddler story time, and I do the families and jammy story time, which is great for families with their kids of all ages to come, and it's really cute because the kids wear their pajamas in the evening.
The kids already seem to be bonding with you a lot. I see how natural you are in the story times, and I definitely can see why that's a favorite part of your job. There's instant reward there for you, definitely.
It's wonderful when they just surprise you and run up and hug you or show you their craft that they made, and
that's wonderful.
Want to give it to you sometimes to keep and hang up on your wall.
Really you mentioned that the story times sort of cross over for many ages of children. Do you have a particular age that is your favorite to work with?
Well, all of the younger kids before they're in school, anywhere from the toddlers to the preschoolers, I like, kind of helping them prepare for school, and it's interesting to see how the youngest toddlers that are maybe 2 can be kind of rowdy at first, and then as they keep going to story time week after week, you see them develop, and they learn, I sit and listen for a little while, and I work on my craft, they participate. I've definitely seen improvement in the kids over the last few weeks, and that helps them get ready for school, so I feel like I'm their preschool teacher.
Right, it's great training for our little students in training. Are there any particular books that you're really fond of recommending now?
Well, some of the best books that I've read recently, starting off with teens, because I do all ages, Jenny Han's P.S. I Still Love You is one of the books that I've read recently. It's a sequel to her book called To All the Boys I've Loved Before. And it's about a lovable teen girl, Laura Jean Covey, who wrote a love letter to each boy that she thinks she's loved, and she just keeps them for herself as mementos. But one day her little sister gets mad at her, steals them, and sends them out to all the boys.
Oh, goodness.
So all these boys from her past come back into her life, and she ends up dating one of them that she thought she never would by the second book. And I think there's a third book coming, and she might meet another one of them in that one.
That sounds like one of those books, like the Secret of the Traveling Pants, that could easily be turned into a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see that. I always enjoy seeing the adaptations.
What other authors are your favorites to recommend?
I really like Meg Cabot. She writes stuff for middle school girls, younger upper elementary girls, as well as teen girls. James Dean and Kimberly Dean do Pete the Cat, as well as Eric Litwin has done some of those. That's another good one that there's a new one, Pete the Cat and the Bedtime Blues. It's about Pete and his pals having a sleepover, and Pete can't sleep because none of his buddies want to go to bed, and they keep doing different things to keep him up and awake.
You know, all librarians have a sort of secret book life, I believe. So in your secret book life, what literary character do you identify with the most?
Well, I mentioned Meg Cabot, and I grew up as a teen reading the Princess Diaries series, and I always really identified with Mia Thermopolis. I haven't found out yet that I'm a princess of a European principality.
You're still waiting for that to happen?
Yes, but her regular high school life, you know, I was reading these books at the same age as her, and they were written in a journal format, and I always wrote in journals growing up, so it was very cool to sort of read about like your best friend's life. And then actually Meg Cabot this past spring released what she called the final book in the series, but it was more geared towards newer adults like me that maybe had grown up reading the books as teens, and it's about Mia, who was again my same age, now getting married, planning her wedding in the book Royal Wedding. So it was like
smart.
following along with my friend's wedding.
Yeah.
She's one of my best literary friends.
Now, we just finished having our annual Christmas tree trimming at the library, and it was a huge success, much in part to your involvement, because you planned our evening craft that night, and we had a wonderful turnout of about 60 adults and children both. I'm just wondering what some of your favorite family holiday traditions are.
Well, Christmas is my favorite holiday, and it sort of runs in my family, the spirit. My mom's birthday is Christmas Eve, so that's one of our traditions, is we always have a nice fancy cake and presents for her on Christmas Eve. And she and I
multiple
also
days of presents.
Yeah,
huh?
you know, 2 days in a row. We make sure she gets both. And she and I also like baking cookies a lot all season.
You made wonderful cookies for the tree trimming.
Yeah, we
they
did
were
bake
fabulous.
some for that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to make, usually for her birthday breakfast, is chocolate chip peppermint scones.
Ooh.
So I'll be doing those.
We'll look forward to those at the library too, if there are any extras.
Yeah, you never know. We've also been known in my family to put up as many as 4 full-size Christmas trees in our house. So we go and cut down one, and then we also like to put up the fake ones and decorate that. That's a fun tradition. And probably one of my most favorite holiday traditions is going to see the Nutcracker Ballet, usually downtown Detroit at the Opera House. I've gone almost every year since I was 2.
That is a tradition.
Yeah.
And after the holidays are done and you put all the trees away, what are you looking forward to in 2016?
Well, in January, the last season of Downton Abbey is coming on TV, and I'm looking forward to watching that. I usually prefer reading more to watching TV, but I do like the BBC dramas on PBS, so it'll be just really cool to see how all the characters' stories are tied up. And I'm hoping for anyone that watches the show that knows Mr. Bates and Anna, I'm hoping they will get a happy ending, because they have had a hard time of it through every season, and it's my prediction and my hope that they will finally have a baby in this season, and I'm thinking maybe even twins. So we'll see if I'm right. That's my prediction.
Well, if patrons want to come in and talk to any library staff about Downton Abbey, it's pretty much an obsession with our staff. So we're happy to chat about that at any desk that you run across a librarian in. You mentioned earlier that you did the stuffed animal sleepover party, which was such a success, and kids really loved it, and it was really an innovative idea. So what other sorts of things do you have coming in the works in the next few months at the library?
Well, in December, the new Star Wars movie is coming out, The Force Awakens, which I'm really excited about because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So in January, I am planning a Star Wars Minute to Win It program for families.
Oh.
Based off of the TV show where
Sure.
they would compete in all of these 60-second physical challenges with a Star Wars theme and see how their skills are with the Force.
And that's for the whole family to compete
Yes.
then. Oh, that'd be a great activity for families to get involved with. I hope we get a lot of interest in that.
Yeah, I hope families will be teams and help each other out and compete against each other in
Yeah.
a friendly spirit.
That's great. Thank you so much, Bethany, for talking to us. I enjoyed getting to know you, and I hope our viewers enjoyed getting to know you too.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you.
I know that when our patrons see you at a desk, that they are welcome to come up and introduce themselves. You're such a friendly face. Everyone should come in and say hello. Coming up next on the library show, don't go anywhere because we've got a lot coming up. We're going to have an interview with Herb, our tech tutor. We're going to be talking to Elizabeth about some holiday DVDs that you won't want to miss. And we'll have a recap of our holiday tree trimming. Please stick with us. We'll be right back.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go, and this was especially true at the Shelby Township Library recently. The library held their annual tree trimming event on November 19th, and many Shelby Township residents came out to enjoy the start of the holiday season. We talked to Library Director Ester to learn more about this wonderful township event.
As you can see, we had our annual tree trimming event today, and over 60 adults and kids came to eat cookies, listen to holiday music, decorate our tree, and make their own ornaments to take home. It was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for families to come out in Shelby Township and celebrate the holidays with the library. In addition, we had over 45 dozen cookies baked by local bakers donated to this year's event. We're so thankful for all of our volunteers. We hope you come out and celebrate the holidays with us next year, or just come and take a look at our tree.
Look right in the camera and say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back. This month I thought I'd talk about some holiday movies as we enter the holiday season. Of course, on TV this time of year, there's all the tried and true favorites like A Christmas Story and It's a Wonderful Life. So I thought I'd focus on some holiday movies that you might not think of. All of these movies are available at the library to check out for a week at a time. The first one I wanted to talk about is The Family Stone. This is an ensemble movie starring people like Diane Keaton, Claire Danes, Dermot Mulroney, Craig T. Nelson, and a whole lot of other people. And it's a story of a businesswoman who goes to meet her fiance's family for the first time. She's very energetic, focused, sort of a type A personality as they describe them, and his family is much more eclectic, a little laid back. And now, while there's some controversy, there's also a lot of love and warmth and humor in this film. It's very poignant and a great holiday movie. The second one I want to talk about is actually called The Holiday, starring Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet, Jack Black, and Jude Law. It's the story primarily of two women, Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz, who both in their own personal lives find themselves, as the holidays approach, unhappy. One of them has just discovered that her fiancé has been unfaithful. The other one realizes that she's madly in love with a man who doesn't love her and is actually in love with somebody else. To sort of help themselves through the holidays, they find a site where they can swap houses, and on a whim they do this. Cameron Diaz goes from sunny Los Angeles to London, England for the winter, or for the holidays at least, and Kate Winslet comes to California. There they meet people, new friends, new experiences, and maybe a little love and romance all around the holiday season. It's a warm, funny, touching movie. Perhaps you're interested in a mystery for the holidays. 8 Women is a French film. It's about a wealthy industrialist who he and all of his family go to his huge estate in France for the holidays. A snowstorm cuts the phone lines and everybody's trapped. The industrialist dies and 8 women, any one of them could be the murderer. There is everyone from his wife, his sister-in-law, his sister, his mother-in-law, and even the family cook, all could potentially have had a reason to kill him. This is a dark comedy and a really interesting farce, a lot of fun to watch, and a great twist on the holiday theme. Another twist is to actually think about a different holiday altogether. Ushpizin is actually an Israeli film centered around the Jewish harvest festival of Sukkot. This is usually found in September and October in the Jewish calendar. This one is about a couple who have prayed long and hard for a miracle. They are suddenly gifted with an enormous sum of money. They think all their prayers have been answered. But twists and turns come up that make them think that maybe this wasn't quite the gift they thought it was. It's a very poignant, moving film about an Israeli family. I highly recommend that one. Going back to just a completely different change of pace then, I was thinking about, I am recommending The Christmas with the Simpsons. This is 5 episodes of the classic Simpsons animated television show, all centered around Christmas. It's a lot of fun and a great way to see some of the best episodes of the show all on one DVD set. John Grisham, most known for his lawyer thriller drama books, took a little break and wrote a funny Christmas book called Skipping Christmas. This was turned into a movie called Christmas with the Cranks, starring Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis. It's about a couple who, for years and years, they've had the best decorated house in the neighborhood. They've put on the most lavish Christmas parties. Christmas has always been the most important time of their year. This year, their daughter, who's moved away, isn't coming home for Christmas, so they think, oh, let's just take a break, unplug, go on a cruise. Then we don't have to worry about all the stress and bother of Christmas. And then, right before Christmas, their daughter announces that she's coming home with her brand new fiancé to show him all the wonderful things her family does for Christmas. They have 12 hours to pull it all together. Can they pull it off? You'll need to watch the movie to see. Another darker Christmas movie that's still a lot of fun is The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is a classic Tim Burton stop animation film. It has brilliant songs written by Danny Elfman. It has a fascinating cast with people like Chris Sarandon and Catherine O'Hara. And it is a really touching story about Jack Skellington, who is the pumpkin king of Halloween Town, who suddenly discovers the wonder of Christmas, and he wants so much to be a part of it. And he tries to get the other members of Halloween Town, the residents, to join with him to take over Christmas and make it their own. But his message doesn't quite get through. It's a really fun, quirky, interesting movie that really the whole family can watch. Another one with a slightly dark side is a suspense thriller. Perfect for the holidays, right? I'm thinking of Die Hard 2, which the library owns. Of course, Die Hard 1 is also a great suspense Christmas movie. In Die Hard 2, John McClane, the New York police officer, is in Washington, D.C., where he encounters terrorists. And this time he must find a way to bring the terrorists down and save the holidays. And finally, my personal favorite, Love Actually. This is a British ensemble movie with an enormous cast. Oscar winners like Emma Thompson, Hugh Grant, Keira Knightley, many people tell about a dozen stories that all intertwine as people think about the holidays and love and relationships and all these things and what they mean to them. It's a very touching, but at times very funny and very sad movie, and really probably my holiday favorite. All of these movies are available at the library. You can stop in and rent them. If you need help finding the one you're looking for, ask a librarian at the information desk.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
If you go to Shelby Township Library on a Wednesday, there's a good chance you'll see a nicely dressed man with a laptop sitting at the table near the hallway door. If you know who this man is, there's a good chance you needed tech help, and Herb the Tech Tutor was there for you. Herb Menard volunteers his time throughout the week to help folks with technology issues and to teach them how to navigate our complex wired world. We caught Herb on a rare break from helping out patrons and asked him how he first got started working with technology.
When I graduated from high school, computers were just beginning to get involved in manufacturing, banking, hospitals, those kinds of things. And so looking for a career, I decided to start looking for opportunities and what was out there, and computers seemed to be a good area to get involved in. In my research, I found that they had a lot of employment opportunities and a decent wage. And so I was fortunate enough to have a person who I went to high school with that was already working in the computer industry. He was able to get me into a training program, and then from there I went into working at a hospital. So I was doing operations on the midnight shift, so we were doing all the patient billings and all the accounting stuff. And then while the computers were spinning their tapes and stuff like that, I was doing programming. So I was writing programs to run on the computers. And then from there I leveraged that into a 45-year career with computers, the last 25 years with Hewlett-Packard.
Today we take technology for granted, but Herb will be the first to tell you that things were much different in the early days of computing.
So back then, they don't even have an RCA Spectrum was the computer I was working on. And it's not even in existence anymore, but it would fill a room about 10 by 10, and punch cards, tape, and it had a printer that went like 1,100 lines a minute. You're carrying in your smartphone more power than on the very first computer I worked on.
After retirement, it didn't take Herb very long to be involved with technology once again.
Well, after I left Hewlett-Packard after 25 years, I just couldn't sit around and do nothing, so I was looking for something to keep me busy. and utilize my computer skills and experience. And so I went on the web and I started looking for volunteer positions. I ran across the United Way website that had all the volunteer jobs in Michigan. And so happened the library that was close to my house, Crow-Wayne Library in Heartland, Michigan, was looking for a technical person to come in and help their patrons. So I worked there for about 4 years, and then when I moved over here to Macomb in 2014, I found Shelby Library, and I talked to Katie Ester, the director, and she jumped at the chance, says, when can you start? And so I've been at Shelby Library now for 12 months, and I'm every Wednesday from 12 to 4. Clinton Library, we started up here about 3 months ago, and I'm over there at the North Branch Tuesdays from 1 to 3.
We asked Herb about some of the tech problems he has helped people with since he's been coming to the library.
When I first started this thing, most of the people were coming in with laptop problems. You know, how do I go on the network? I've got this virus, how do I get rid of it? My PC's running slow. So those were what I was doing initially. It seems lately now everybody's got a tablet or a Kindle or a smartphone, and so they're asking all their questions that deal with how do I get an ebook or an audiobook. And so you can see we do a lot of things that are pretty simple to very complex. But what's kind of neat about it, I learn a lot of things. I'm learning as much as the people that are coming in because they're bringing me things that I may not know, so I have to learn it and then teach it to them when they come back the next day. So it's a learning experience for me, and I'm helping people to do things that they may have to go to the Geek Squad for.
Herb has great advice for those people who might be intimidated by technology.
The thing I tell them is don't worry, you can't break it. There's always a solution to fix it. Some are more complex than others, but it always can be fixed. So don't worry about breaking it. And also keep trying. You learn by trying. And if you run into a problem, you can't fix it, bring it into me on Wednesday or Tuesday, and we'll figure out how to get you back to normal.
So remember, you can find Herb the Tech Tutor at the Shelby Library on Wednesdays from noon to 4. Thanks for watching the Library Show, and we'll see you next time.